This episode of Distraction is sponsored by Landmark College, offering 360-degree support for students with learning disabilities, ADHD, and ASD. Learn more at lcdistraction.org. Landmark College. We teach differently.
You know, as an Asian kid who is supposed to be able to perform really well.
You're supposed to be top of the class, right?
Exactly. We're the model minority. That was an additional pressure for me.
Hello, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell, and welcome to the podcast Distraction. Today, we're really lucky to have a incredibly talented woman by the name of Lisa Ling, who most of you have heard of, I'm sure. She's a pioneer and innovator, and she happens to have something that I have, namely the wonderfully interesting condition so misleadingly called ADHD.
Well, thank you, Ned, for having me, and thank you also for your willingness to talk so openly about this. You know, I think it's really unfortunate that there's such a stigma attached to ADHD and ADD, and hopefully we can try and dispel those things. Absolutely.
You know, Tim Armstrong, the CEO of what's now Oath, the combination of AOL, Verizon, and Yahoo, was very open about having ADHD and how it's one of the keys to his success. And David Neeleman, the founder of JetBlue Airlines, and the list goes on, not to mention Lisa Ling. And, you know, with all these wonderfully talented people having it, you know, it's time to realize that it can be a disorder if you don't manage it right. The prisons are full of people with undiagnosed ADHD, but so are the halls of the wonderfully talented and successful like you.
Exactly.
Tell me about the show.
So the show is called This Is Life. It airs on CNN, and it is an exploration of different American subcultures or issues. And we are in our fourth season, which is really exciting, and we cover a totally diverse array of topics. And I've been working as a journalist for over 20 years, and
really?
I was really lucky to find this calling, because I'm not sure how you performed in school, but I really struggled a lot inside the classroom. I just was completely distracted and had such a hard time focusing all of my life. And, you know, as an Asian kid who is supposed to be able to perform really well.
You're supposed to be top of the class, right?
Exactly. We're the model minority. That was an additional pressure for me.
Was this in California? Did you grow up?
I did. I grew up in a suburb outside of Sacramento, California. And I was really lucky that I found the television business early. I mean, I started working in TV when I was 16 for a nationally syndicated teen magazine show. But then, this was extremely lucky, at 18, I was hired to report for a show that was seen in schools across the country called Channel 1 News. And so their goal was to hire these young-looking correspondents who looked like they could be convincing as high school age. I was just out of high school. And it sent us all over the world to cover stories. Anderson Cooper was one of my colleagues. They had a pretty, I think fairly impressive roster of young people on the air at a young age. But
are you still friends with him?
Oh yeah. He's I just saw him yesterday here at CNN.
Do you think he has ADD too?
I don't know. He very well may.
Yeah.
You never know these days.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if a number of reporters do, because we have to work on so many different things all of the time. And in a way, being in this kind of environment and being actually in the field and able to interact with people face to face, that is where I realized I could hyper-focus. You know, it helps that I have a team around me at all times to support me. You know, when I go out into the field to produce my shows, I've got a producer, an associate producer, I've got a cameraman and sound man, and all we talk about is our story, you know, 24/7 practically. And so that helps to have that kind of support. But just being outside of a confined space was something that really helped me a great deal.
Yeah. So from Channel 1, what happened next?
So from Channel 1, I got hired to fill the young co-host seat at The View on ABC.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and that was that was a unique experience to be on live TV with the likes of Barbara Walters and Meredith Vieira and Star Jones. And it was a fun job and a fun experience, but it was also, I definitely had my challenges because, on that show, it's about generating audience reaction, and so you have to be quick, and
right.
on your toes. And
right.
I think that, I think I did fine on that, but I just don't know if that was the kind of thing that I wanted to do long term, because what I do now, I get to really take the time to work on each of these episodes, and it's much of a collaborative experience, and it just makes more sense for me. But hey, I had a great time. After that, I worked for National Geographic Explorer, and then Oprah's team had seen one of my episodes and asked me to come on her show to promote it. And after that, she asked me to be a regular contributor to her show.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so I worked for Oprah for a while. She gave me a chance to do this documentary series for her new network, OWN, and I did that for 5 seasons, and now I'm here at CNN and working on my show, This Is Life. So that's
it sounds like wherever you go, you sparkle.
Well, I feel like I have been really blessed to be able to do something that I'm passionate about. And people ask me, well, what's your favorite story? And what I say to them is every story that I work on becomes my favorite story at the time. And it becomes the most important. So it's the one I'm working story.
On now, is it? Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I'm a fairly decent journalist,
Now I'd like to talk about our newest sponsor, Landmark College. Landmark College is located in lovely Putney, Vermont. It's really an idyllic setting just outside of historic Brattleboro, Vermont. It's a college for students like me who learn differently, students who are college ready but need some assistance, students who, very similar to the people I see in my practice, students who need some assistance in learning structure, study skills. They're smart, but they just need to learn how to do school, so to speak. Landmark College is so well equipped in teaching those kind of skills. They're the best in the business, if you ask me, for these college-ready students who just need some assistance in gaining these skills. To learn more, go to lcdistraction.org. So how did this particular show, it's been 4 years now, how did you come up with that idea?
Well, I had been contributing to Oprah's show for a number of years, and when she started her network, she said, can you do longer form versions of what you do for my daytime show? And so we did that, and that show eventually became known as Our America. And then Oprah's network started to change a little bit. It started to kind of direct its focus toward a particular audience. And my show is it's a very broad one. And so, frankly, CNN has always been my favorite network. It has always just been a constant in my life. But for so long, it was only doing breaking news. And then they hired Anthony Bourdain to do his show, which is a documentary series. And so I thought, let me just bring this to them and see if they're interested. And they hired me in the room to do my show that's now called This Is Life. Interestingly enough, I had always suspected that I might have ADD, just because of my inability to focus in the classroom.
Right.
And so when I was doing my previous show, Our America, we did an episode on kids with ADHD. Mm-hmm. And, these young kids, they were so brave to let our cameras follow them through the process of getting diagnosed and going through the testing and, allowing us to see how ADHD sort of manifested itself in them. And as I was watching these kids and their parents talk about this, I felt like, it's not really fair of me to just watch this happen. Like, because this is something that I always suspected of myself, I felt compelled to finally, after 30-some years, get tested. And so I worked with one of the doctors that we profiled in our episode, and he went through the battery of tests and confirmed that I had ADHD. And so, in a way, it was a relief to actually
You were how
know.
old at the time?
I was like 33 years old.
Uh-huh.
Dr. Craig Lydon is his name.
Oh, sure. Yeah, great. Yeah.
Terrific doctor. And, I was always sort of afraid as a young person, but, in my 30s, I just felt like, okay, I want to be able to explain why I had those deficiencies in high school. And so when it was confirmed, it was a relief. And we talked about, the things that I could do about it. And we tried a couple of different medical and medicines.
Yeah.
And they did seem to have an impact. And then I got pregnant. And so I stopped everything.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't resumed medication because I sort of feel like I've gone this long without doing it that I think I've figured out a way to manage it for myself. And being able to do this kind of work with my collective team has really worked for me. And my recommendation...
that's my case as well. We both learned how to compensate so that we don't need medication, but just having the insight and the explanation is very helpful.
Absolutely. And my recommendation to young people and adults is that if they've ever suspected it about themselves, make sure you go to a doctor who really knows how to deal with ADD and ADHD. You can't just go to your pediatrician or to your GP. Like, you have to go to someone who specializes in this, because that's the only way that you can figure out the proper way to deal and treat what you're experiencing.
I also think it's important to see someone who sees the positives that go with it, that this is not a disorder, it's a trait. And if you manage it right, it's an asset, like you've done.
Yeah, and not to just shove a pill down your throat.
Right.
Because I think that can potentially be dangerous if you don't take the right medication, and you may, as an adult, have been able to figure out how to manage it.
Mm-hmm. So true. Tell us just a little bit more about the show, because I'm eager to start watching it.
So the whole series is not about sex, but the first episode is we call it Sexual Healing. And it's a really interesting episode because I actually think it's relatable to everyone. We profiled two women who are in the business of sexual healing, and one of them said something that I thought was quite profound, which is, if you have any blockage to your sexual energy or deficiencies in your sex life, you may have body image issues, or you've dealt with sexual abuse, or you're not intimate with your partner, it affects every aspect of your life. And these days, we have no problem promoting and publicizing sex, but we don't have substantive conversations about it.
Yes.
And there's so much guilt and shame surrounding it. So our whole attempt with this episode is just to try and normalize the conversation and create safe spaces where people can feel comfortable talking about it.
That's wonderful. It's so true. As a country, we're a combination of very libertine and very Puritan. And, we can get awfully nervous and uptight talking about sexuality.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because it's, again, the most natural thing. It's part of human biology.
Oh, God, it's nature's antidepressant,
Yeah.
It's a source of joy in life. And is the show an hour?
The show is an hour, and it runs for 8 weeks starting October 1st. And we also embed with an armed militia in Arizona.
Wow.
We spend time with America's first Muslims, and those are African-American Muslims. We explore these underground tunnels that exist underneath the Las Vegas Strip that are inhabited by hundreds of people.
Really? They're allowed to live there?
Well, they're not allowed, and law enforcement often, goes down and clears it out. But despite that, they keep coming back, and it literally is an entire world that exists underneath the Las Vegas Strip.
Oh, that's so interesting. My goodness. And all these people were welcoming to you? Well,
we had to go in with people they trusted, because, it's not the safest place to go, but we went with people that worked to kind of help them, bring them services sometimes, bring them food and resources. So it was a circuitous way in, but once we did get down there, they were very welcoming.
And this is journalism at its best. This isn't gotcha journalism. This isn't soundbite journalism. This is stuff that is really interesting that people don't know about, and you're opening up new worlds for people.
We try to. I mean, I've always believed that the more we know about each other, the smarter we are and the better we become.
And the more accepting, to...
Absolutely.
The more we can understand, and goodness knows the world needs understanding these days.
Absolutely.
Well, Lisa Ling, what an impressive woman you are. You're a pioneer. You're a groundbreaker. You embody the best. You have integrity, imagination, courage. You've really got it all. I'm honored to have you on my podcast. And
well, thank you very much.
I hope we'll all tune in to This Is Life. Thank you, Lisa. Good luck.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks so very much to Lisa Ling. She was really terrific, inspiring. Her show, I think, just sounds fantastic. What an innovative, brave, and really cool woman journalist she is. Can't thank her enough for coming on the show. Okay, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell for the podcast Distraction. Remember to reach out with your questions, comments, and show ideas. We love getting your emails and voicemails. Our email address is connect@distractionpodcast.com, and our phone number is 844-55-CONNECT. Please rate and review Distraction on Apple Podcasts. Rate the show and leave us a review. We truly appreciate your help in making the podcast a success. Thank you so much. All right, and here's a giveaway alert. If you're not a fan of the Distraction Facebook page, you are missing out. We are giving away a set of my books on our Facebook page that includes Driven to Distraction, Delivered from Distraction, and Married to Distraction. And I will, of course, sign the books for the winner. So go to our Facebook page, like it, and tag a friend in the comments of the pinned giveaway post for your chance to win. Distraction is produced by Collisions, the podcast division of CRN International. Collisions, podcasts for curious people. Our music theme was created by Mark Berman. Our producer is the incredibly imaginative Sarah Gurton, and our sound engineer is the wonderfully creative Scott Person.